Chapter 1: Worldviews and Science. In the marketplace of ideas in our society, there are many competing worldviews. In this video, we present an introduction to the most common worldviews you will encounter in modern culture. It is very important that you learn to recognize and distinguish these different philosophies of life. First, let's see some worldviews that accept supernatural reality. Theism. According to the theistic worldview, there is a God or gods who created and transcend all that exists in the physical world. This supreme being or beings is supernatural in nature, but is still involved and interacts somehow with the created world. According to theism, the physical world is a creation of God. Monotheism is a type of theism, a belief in one God. Many of the world's religions have a monotheistic worldview. Some examples are Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Polytheism is a belief in many gods. Some examples are the ancient Greek mythologies. And modern examples of Hinduism and Shintoism. The deities of polytheistic religions often show personality traits similar to humans. Deism is similar to theism in the sense that it accepts the existence of a transcendent superior being who created the universe. However, the God of deism is not involved with the creation nor with human affairs. The deist God is not personal, not somebody one communicates with through prayer. It is likened to a watchmaker. He created the universe and the laws of nature, set the natural world in motion, and now lets it operate with no further interaction on his part. Deism is well illustrated by this quote from renowned physicist Stephen Hawking. These natural laws may have originally been decreed by God, but it appears that he has since left the universe to evolve according to them and does not now intervene in it. Another worldview that accepts supernatural reality is pantheism. According to pantheism, God and nature are inseparable and cannot be distinguished. Nature is considered sacred and revered. Everything that exists is part of an all-encompassing God. The universe is part of God, and God is part of the universe. Even though people no longer openly worship the sun and stars as in ancient times, pantheism is still present today in more subtle ways. When aspects of nature are revered, this is pantheism. Those who hold this worldview often capitalize words like nature and cosmos out of respect and divine reverence. This quote by late astronomer Carl Sagan is a modern example of pantheism. Our ancestors worshipped the sun, and they were not that foolish. It makes sense to revere the sun and the stars, for we are all their children. Let's explore now some worldviews that do not accept supernatural reality. Philosophical naturalism. According to this worldview, the world can be explained entirely by physical natural phenomena and laws. It regards the material universe as the only reality. Naturalists either deny the existence of a supernatural realm where nothing exists beyond nature, or declare it irrelevant. If there is a supernatural realm, it has no impact on the physical world. The physical world is seen as a closed system governed by cause and effect. The universe is self-contained, self-sufficient, and self-explanatory. Naturalists also reject the concept of an immaterial human soul, or consider it irrelevant. Philosophical naturalism is well illustrated by Carl Sagan's famous quote, "The cosmos is all that is, or was, or ever will be." A warning here. We have to be careful not to confuse philosophical naturalism, which is a worldview, with methodological naturalism, which is a method for studying the natural world by considering only natural explanations without any supernatural assumptions about reality. In other words, methodological naturalism is neutral concerning worldviews. Methodological naturalism can be consistent with theism, while philosophical naturalism cannot. We will get back to this point later on in this course. Now let's explore some categories or branches of naturalism, such as materialism, determinism, reductionism, scientism, evolutionism. So let's understand these terms. Materialism. The material world is the one ultimate reality. Determinism. Events in the physical world can be completely explained through a cause and effect chain. Given initial conditions and laws of physics, future events are completely determined. This brings serious questions concerning free will. Are our actions and thoughts completely determined by chemical and physical connections in our brain, or do we have free will? Do we make choices, or are we part of the deterministic machinery of the physical world? Reductionism is often associated with materialism and views human beings as nothing but the material parts from which we are made. In this worldview, everything can be reduced to, explained by, and ultimately depends on matter. The human mind is considered to be a manifestation of physical and chemical processes occurring inside our heads. Carl Sagan wrote, "I am a collection of water, calcium, and organic matter called Carl Sagan. You are a collection of almost identical molecules with a different collective label. But is that all? Is there nothing in here but molecules?" Some people find this idea demeaning to human dignity. For myself, I find it elevating that our universe permits evolution of molecular machines as intricate and subtle as we. So, are humans molecular machines? Just meat machines, as Carl Sagan suggests? Scientism. According to this view, science is either the only reliable method for obtaining true knowledge, which is called strong scientism, or the best method, which is called weak scientism. Those who hold to this philosophical view show unlimited faith in science. Scientism often divide all thought in two categories: scientific knowledge and nonsense. For those who adopt the strong version of scientism, science is the only path that leads to knowledge and truth. Here we have a quote by philosopher Bertrand Russell that expresses strong scientism. Whatever knowledge is attainable must be attained by scientific methods, and what science cannot discover, mankind cannot know. Because the scientific method is an objective inquiry into the natural world, scientism often masquerades as being completely objective, when in reality, it is a philosophical worldview. So, it is very important not to confuse science with scientism. Evolutionism asserts that all life is the result of purely natural, unguided, unsupervised processes. These processes are controlled only by natural laws and random chance, with no input whatsoever from a supernatural being. Evolutionism is a worldview, not a scientific theory. Evolution is a scientific theory that can be accepted or rejected based on scientific evidence. Evolutionism masquerades as objective science, when in reality it is a worldview that uses a scientific theory to propagate a philosophical idea. Evolutionism is well illustrated by this quote from the late paleontologist George Simpson. "Man is the result of a purposeless and natural process that did not have him in mind." This is a worldview statement, not a scientific one. It is very important to be able to discern the difference between science and scientism, and evolution and evolutionism. Both scientism and evolutionism are worldviews, philosophical ideas, not scientific theories. As we engage in dialogue about science and faith, we need to be able to spot these differences very clearly. This is crucial. Another worldview that does not accept a supernatural reality is atheism. According to the worldview of atheism, no God or gods exist. God is an invention of the human mind. The new atheism is a recent movement that is very aggressive in proselytizing atheism, also called by some the fundamentalist atheism. They equate all religious beliefs as nonsense and have the goal of eradicating the malignant virus of religion out of our society. Some of the leaders of the movement are very well-known figures: Richard Dawkins, Daniel Dennett, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, Victor Stenger, Peter Singer, Lawrence Krauss, and others. Their aggressive, anti-religious propaganda is clear through many best-selling books that they have produced, such as The God Delusion, God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything, Breaking the Spell, God the Failed Hypothesis, How Science Shows That God Does Not Exist. These books are considered by the critics very dogmatic, with weak and recycled arguments and filled with misrepresentation of religious beliefs to the point of gross distortion. They often deny that their belief in atheism is faith. Here are some of their statements about their faith in the non-existence of God. Richard Dawkins, atheists have no faith. Peter Singer, atheism is not a faith. Christopher Hitchens, our principles are not a faith. Our beliefs are not a belief. That is interesting or even ironic because worldviews are obviously rooted in faith, and the worldview of atheism is no exception. Agnosticism. According to agnosticism, metaphysical claims about ultimate reality are either unknown or simply not knowable. It comes in two versions. Those who adopt the soft version of agnosticism assert that they do not know if God exists, while hard agnostics claim that no one can know if God exists. It is simply not possible to know. Secular humanism. This worldview rejects the supernatural and knowledge attained through divine revelation, but places great confidence in the capacity of mankind. It is a philosophy centered in man and the role of humanity. According to this worldview, man is the measure of all things. Moral values find their source, foundation, and justification in the accumulated wisdom of humans. This view strongly promotes relativism. A secular humanist looks to human endeavors and accomplishments for ultimate meaning and purpose. Relativism. According to this worldview, there is no real, absolute, objective truth to be unveiled about the world. Truth is subjective, dependent on human cultural conventions. This philosophy of life is characterized by changing standards and values. What is right for one person may not be right for another, and what we learn and measure about the world may not be the same tomorrow. Relativism comes in two forms. Moral relativism only applies the idea of relativism to immaterial things, such as a person's religious beliefs or moral decisions, but can still accept objective truth in the natural world. However, an extreme relativist would go beyond and claim that it is also impossible to know anything absolute about the natural world. Let's do an exercise together. C. John Collins, professor of Old Testament at Covenant Theological Seminary in St. Louis, gives the following good advice in his book, Science and Faith, Friends or Foes. We can't rely solely on arguments to help people embrace the Christian worldview. There is no substitute for a gentle and holy Christian character that everyone knows they can rely on in a pinch. That's what shows others our worldview is one to live by. Some people hold their worldview as a conscious choice. Other people may hold their worldviews for reasons that are unconscious and beyond their rational choice. In addition to being prepared to offer rational reasons for holding the Christian worldview, Christians should also be sensitive to the underlying reasons people may have for choosing their own worldviews. Question A. What are some reasons people might choose their particular worldviews? Well, they are likely many different reasons, whether they be conscious or unconscious. Consider the following examples. A person who is fearful of being judged may hold to relativism. Somebody whose father abandoned him or her as a child might be angry and also feel abandoned by God, leaning towards atheism. A person holds to naturalism and finds escape in the science lab because they dread making changes they know would be necessary if God was in their life. A humanist may hide deep insecurities by trying to show extreme human confidence. I'm sure you can also give other examples of factors influencing a person's choice of worldview. Question B. Speculate how you would feel if someone patiently made an effort to understand the way you think and the worldview that you hold. How can you show Christian character in the way you approach a conversation with a friend who holds a different worldview than you? Do you remember conversations you have had in the past when people were honestly interested in what you believed, and that interest led to a genuine and deep conversation? As human beings, we all want to be heard and be understood. Remember that the reasons why people choose their worldviews may not be rational decisions that can be debated. A person will only open their heart to reveal those reasons if they feel accepted and experience an atmosphere of love and genuine interest for them.